Hey, Liberty North AP Psych. Welcome. So this is test prep number one, session number one. So the 1:30 to 2 time every day moving forward now will be test prep. Okay. I don't think we're going to need that much time, but I can give you questions and stuff towards the end that we can kind of just go over to help you prep. What's up, Zach? Um, I just got some intro stuff today that, again, I want to make sure that we go over just the form of the test, make sure you guys are clear on what you're going to be doing, and then kind of give you an idea to something to kind of prep for before tomorrow's session. Okay. So, again, I think we'll be inundated, but again, if you guys will have questions, good thing about this is you can just chat and I can see your questions and we can answer them at the end. But we'll do some practicing stuff. But also, I want to say, for the first time ever, your resources to prepare for this test are free and they are everywhere. So the other day I just Googled AP Psych 2020 AP Psych exam prep, and I mean tons of stuff came up that was free. So on your survival guide, okay, that I set up on Canvas, I've got links to AP, the College Board, and then I put Fiveable on there as well, because Fiveable, I think, to me, as far as a teacher, has been the best at communicating to me, decisions, up to date on the test, and they have free, like they're running a free Olympics team you can jump on, but they have free test prep. So, access that survival guide on Canvas, and there's resources there for you that have everything you would need to be able to prep. Okay, so you don't even need a book this time, this year, which has been different in the past. But if you've already bought a book, that's fine. Unfortunately, for the multiple choice, you don't need it, which is most of it. So again, we're just having two free response questions this year. Okay, all right. So access that, and you can prep yourself to death. Really, is what you want. Okay. All right, so let's go down some stuff here I have. And I'll take a picture of this and put it on Twitter as well with the notes. Tuesday, May 19th at 1 o'clock. So 1 o'clock Central Time will be the AP Psych test. All right. Now, with that, they also changed this year for the late test. So if that day is going to be very tough for you, difficult for you, or it's going to conflict, you don't have to register for late testing this year. You just take test time. All right. So you can go to College Board and find that out. But it used to be in the past that you had to, apply and register for the late test date. You don't have to do that this year. They're just going to basically see where people test. People can basically test on either date that they want to. There's no application, nothing you have to do, because what they're anticipating is that there probably might be some technical difficulties on the 19th, and therefore people will have to test on the late day. In other words, they won't be able to log in or whatever. So, one thing that they did bring up, which was a pretty good point, and some of the information I was reading, is that you might want to go ahead and try to do it on the 19th, because there might be some technical difficulties through AP or through your end or whatever. And so it's always good to have that late test as a backup in case something goes wrong. Now, that might not work for everybody, but the late test, if it doesn't work, you're just out of luck, from what I understand. That's just going to be it. So keep that in mind. Okay. Okay. For AP Psych, you're only going to have 2 free response questions. All right. Okay. And you can use your notes. You can use the book. I think you can use just about anything. But again, which I think my class has trained you for this year, is to be able to use your notes and work through them quickly. Okay. So again, they're letting you have the stuff, but again, it's time. So it's not like, you have an hour to look up anything and everything you want. They know there's a time limit. So that's going to, infringe upon your ability to look up stuff. So, and that's kind of what we do with the vocab. You have your AP notebook, you have access to all information, but you have to be able to find it within, 25 minute or whatever. Okay. And actually, we lucked out. The 25 minutes is usually 25 to 35 is usually what I give you for our quizzes. So I think you'll be, again, this is an example of why I give timed quizzes and tests, because it's just something you've got to be able to do. So they're basically counting on that you have the information Just can you find it quickly and can you apply it in the time that they give you? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So question 1, I've kind of summarized this here for you. Okay. It's going to be 25 minutes. It's going to be concept application. It's going to be 55% of your grade. Okay. Now concept application basically means it's going to be like any other free response that they've ever given. So you can go back and look at previous free response tests, and it's going to be like every question 1 that they've ever given, and question 2. Okay, so concept application is generally what they want. They're going to give you a scenario in which you have to apply. So basically, it's just kind of like what we do. Okay, and I think as you'll see that my quizzes and the free response part of our essay tests really model and help you get prepared for this. So I think you have all the skills you need to do. I'll talk about your first step to get ready for here at the end. Okay. Now, so this question is going to be from units 1 to 7, which translates to chapters, the prologue, and then 1 to 15 in our book. Okay. So you're going to go up to personality. Okay. So chapters 1 to 15 and the prologue, which is like that very beginning part that talks about the history of psychology. Okay. So that aligns with units 1 to 7. Okay. So what you do not need to know is you do not need to know social psychology, and you do not need to know abnormal or psych disorders and treatments. Okay. So that's the stuff that's been eliminated off of the test. All right. So chapters 1 to 15. Okay. All right. Now, explicitly, it says on the AP website, it says explain behavior and apply theories and perspectives. Okay. So they're going to give you some general concept, and then they're going to have you apply. Now, also on there, it says that you're going to have 8 tasks. Okay. So those are going to be like on my quizzes and my free response questions, where I have the bullet points and I have the vocab terms there. So there's going to be 8 of those on this question. All right. So you're going to have one overarching question that's general that you're going to need to answer specifically. And then you're going to have 8 tasks in addition to that to briefly apply to that question. Okay. Now remember, application, 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 right? Okay. All right. So if you can see, apply. Okay. All right. So they're really going to be into this analyze, interpret, and apply. All right. So, and we'll go over some of these practice questions. Basically, this is kind of what I've been training you to do with our 2 response tests. So I gave you an overarching question, and then you had to apply a concept or a term to it, right? I listed 5 generally. Okay. So that's the same thing you're going to do. It's going to be in the same bullet point format. It's going to look just like my test. Okay. So you are ready for this. All right. And then the second semester with the quizzes, even, we've been doing that. Have a learning target. You have to answer it completely. And then I want you to apply vocab to it. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is going to be just like our quizzes and our test. All right. This first one. And this first one will be over anything, chapter 1 to 15. So they're going to give a concept, and then they're going to have, or they're going to give an overarching question, right? And then they're going to have 8 concepts or vocab that you have to then apply within the answer. Okay. All right. Now, one thing here that I would make sure I'd emphasize here is that you want to apply them in the answer. Okay. So like at the beginning of the year, I was kind of letting you answer the question and then list them out, and you could define them and apply them separately, and then we started this semester working towards including the vocab in the question, And that's the model that you want to go for here. Okay. So you want to use the vocab in the answer of the question. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Then, so you have 25 minutes to answer that. And then I think they give you 5 minutes to upload it into the website. Okay. Then question 2, you have 15 minutes. Okay. And this one's going to be a research methods question. Okay. 45% of your grade. Okay. Research methods. This is why we do our journal critiques. One of the reasons, besides the APA format. Okay. Starting last year, every question is about research methods. Okay. So they're going to require you to basically do a journal critique. They're going to give you research, and then you're going to have to critique it. Okay. Which is exactly what we've done. You've done it. You chose a research journal. You've been working on it all year long. Okay. And this is what we'll probably start with first. I want to make sure that you guys know, again, internal validity, external validity, standardization. We're going to go over all this tomorrow. This will be our first thing we're going to go over, kind of review chapter 1. Okay. All right. And this is chapter 1. Okay, so you need to make sure that you reread chapter 1, okay, and that you look at that information there, okay. All right. So, and then that's psych research, and then I would go back and review your journal critique, okay, that you did to make sure that you understand, the method section, what type of method was used, and all that stuff, okay. All right. And then it says analyze psych research, interpret data, okay. So, they're gonna summarize the what they generally going to do is they're going to give you an overarching question that basically summarizes research that was done, and they're going to give you a little graph that actually shows the results of the research, okay, so that you have to interpret that graph. And then they're going to write, and then they're going to ask you they're going to give you 6 tasks, okay, 6 tasks. So this one has 8, this one has 6 because you're interpreting the graph, okay. So yeah, so on this one, and we'll go over this, but I would look at the graph first, and I just start with the graph is what I would do. But okay, that's exactly what they're going to do. Okay, all right. So yeah, chapter 1 will be big, and then that basically critiquing it. Okay, you're going to have to critique it just like you've done. So you'll be ready for that. But we want to make sure that you can do that as fast as you can. But I think you should be good in this one. Last year, my students did really good on this question here. And I think a lot of them said it's just like a critique. So this was by far the best answered question. I think the last 2 years, my students have really nailed this one. This has been a problem. It depends on the question. Again, it can be over anything. So, I think this is obviously the one that's a little bit afraid. You should be prepared for this one. So we're going to knock this one out tomorrow pretty much and go over that. And then we'll kind of spend our time talking about things here. Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right. And then make sure you use your online resources. Okay. And I know that Dr. Camp just sent an email out today that had a whole bunch of information and links for you. So, make sure you're responding, make sure you use that resource. There's just so much free stuff out there. And actually it's overwhelming how much stuff there is there. That's why I kind of chose Fiveable as my one outside resource and then College Board as the other one. And within those two, you can get as much free practice as you would want or could ever dream of doing. Okay, Jackson, will there be text boxes just to type our answer into, or do we have to handwrite and upload picture? I think, and I mean, that's why I would thank you. Another thing I have on there is you can find the answer to that for sure on the second link. I also have the College Board's up-to-date link on Canvas that gives you up-to-date information if they decide anything on the AP test. So if anything changes to the format, Jackson, I would be prepared to do both, to be honest, to that question. But I think what I've heard is it's going to be like a text, like you're going to type it. You're going to type it, and then you're going to submit. Then you're going to upload it, and then you just have to wait to make sure it'll say has been successfully uploaded. So I think they're going to give you a box that you're going to write in right now. But again, I mean, I don't know. I mean, with technology and stuff, I would be prepared to do both, but I don't think there'd be much difference. But right now, I just be prepared for both, whatever they tell you, and then keep checking that. Keep checking the updated website. So I've got Fiveable on Canvas. I've got AP specifically for the AP psych test where you can access past tests and stuff like that. And then I've got another link in there that says all the updated information on from the College Board. So they send out daily, weekly updates on what's changed, what's going on. And I think this is a big week because I think they said that everybody's going to get a final updated email by the end of this week, last week of April, that will kind of clarify, I think, and for sure write down what they're going to do. At this point, I just think that they're still working through the technology of how it's going to be. Okay, good question. Any other questions today? Just about format. Okay, everybody clear on kind of what you're doing? I hope. All right. And again, I'll send a picture of this and put it on Twitter. You can look at it. You can access Canvas. And then all of you should be receiving emails from Dr. Camp. She sent one out today, and also College Board. So, I mean, there's no way you shouldn't know what's going to happen or what you're going to have to do. But this, I thought some of you obviously have more than one AP test. So this is kind of what you need to know about AP Psych. Okay. All right. So obviously you need to have chapter 1 really well known, right? And you need to be versed on research methods. And that's what we'll go over tomorrow. And then we'll work on this one overall. And then we'll do some practice tests, all of which you could do on your own. And that would be the first thing that I would ask you to do is, sometime at this week, make sure that you go and you look at the Canvas. Okay, go to Fiveable. They have practice tests, things that you can join, competition. They have the Olympics. They have free webinars. I mean, they have free resources for just psych. Check a couple of those out or one of them out, and then go down and look at their last, either through Fiveable or College Board, and look at previous free response questions. Okay. And look at kind of what their answers are. And then I think what we're going to start, once I give you the information tomorrow, what I want you to start doing is then practicing. Okay. Just over and over, kind of what, like here, when we talk about tomorrow, I'm going to need to talk about internal validity, external validity, standardization, hindsight bias, overconfidence, generalization, all that stuff that really impacts validity of data. Okay. All right. And then just, begin to time yourself in these responses so you can get a feel of what 25 minutes is like and what 15 minutes is like. This is going to go by very, very fast. Okay. So you're going to have to, you don't have much time really to look almost at anything here. I think this one, you just need to be able to count on not looking at anything and just going. But I would make maybe a little outline with definitions of internal validity, external validity, which we'll talk about tomorrow. This one you might have, 5 minutes to kind of look around, and then you need to be kind of answering, starting to go. I'd be kind of pressing it, but find it quickly and hopefully just jar stuff, and then you can go start writing. Okay. All right. So we'll kind of talk about a strategy, and we'll do it this one specifically tomorrow. Okay. And get you ready for that. We'll kind of knock that one out, and then we'll kind of do some practice questions and some things here, just about applying them in there. Okay. And then don't forget also during your last quiz, your personality quiz, you guys applied within the questions. You guys actually did a great job. The personality test quizzes were phenomenal. I mean, it's an interesting topic. Hopefully we get something like that for number 1. My fear personally is that number 1 is going to be very, very, very specific, because they know that you guys have your notes. Again, like I talked about in college, sometimes open note tests are the worst tests. So I also would view this as one of those. I'd be like, oh gosh, they know I'm going to have everything, so this one's going to be very, very specific. I think this one you're going to be okay no matter what, but it's just 15 minutes. That's pretty quick, so you got to start writing immediately. This one you have some time, but I think it's going to be so specific that you're not going to have time to do both. So so we'll just keep preparing and going from there. Okay. But what they generally want you to do is to apply psychology to real life situations. I mean, that's what the AP wants to see. That's what they judge on your ability to understand and apply, analyze, interpret. They want to basically know that what you've learned, you can apply it to real life situations, because psychology can be applied to real life anywhere. And that's what they want you to do, is to apply it to real life. So they're going to give you, real research. They're going to give you a real life situation application here, and then you just got to apply it to there. Okay. Which is what we've been working towards all year long, is how to apply it. And I think you guys will be fine. Okay. All right. Almost 20 minutes here. So do I have any other questions for today on format of test? You have to answer them in this order as well, from what I've understood. Now, and I'm pretty sure that's the way it's going to be. I'm sure they won't change that, but you got to answer 1, and then you'll answer 2. So you do them in order. So it won't give you number 2 until 1 is submitted, I believe. Okay. And I do have some hints on where they'll go with this one, just based on in the past, at least one element of it that we'll talk about in here that usually is part of that question every year. So, but we'll get to that Okay. All right. Any questions? Okay. All right. So assignment number one, right, is to go to Canvas and at least get yourself familiar with those free resources. All right. Then go look at past free response questions. All right. So you can kind of be familiar with that. And just kind of get a mental concept schema, right, of what they're going to do and what they want you to do. And with both these, okay. And I would start with last year's test because you're going to get both of them. All right. And then tomorrow we're going to knock this one out. Okay. All right. And then we will go over every chapter, kind of the important stuff that I think that you're going to need on the test. So we'll go down the prologue all the way through. Okay. And then don't forget, lastly, is you have your AP notebook, right? Use that notebook. All right. Because that has your names, your perspectives. You're going to need to know the perspectives, brain structures. Okay. And then you've got your learning targets. And that's probably what we'll go down. I might just do more of an outline probably for each chapter, but we'll cover each chapter as well. Okay. So we're going to start with this one just to knock it out with chapter one. Then we'll go back and we'll do the prologue and we'll work through every chapter. And then in the end, I'll give you practice tests and quizzes or questions over each one. Okay. All right. So we'll see everybody tomorrow in the afternoon. Email me if you have any questions whatsoever. Okay.